this episode is coming a little late. I apologize about that. For those of you who don't know, this is Off the Grid, a Power Rangers podcast. I am your host, Jacob Bartley, and today we're going to talk about Hasbro buying Power Rangers from Saban and what that could mean. We're going to talk about Go-Go Power Rangers number 9, which came out a few weeks ago, hence the "this episode is late" statement that I just made. And then we're also going to talk about the comic book that came out for Free Comic Book Day last Saturday. So let's jump right into this show. And like I said, for those of you who don't know, this is an All Power Rangers podcast where we talk about multiple things. I grew up a Mighty Morphin Power Ranger watcher. I was like 3 to 5 years old when I was started watching it, and then I continued on and watched up to like Power Rangers in Space, and I got a little bit older at that point, so I kind of stopped watching. But I am on a journey to watch the whole series from beginning to end. I already had rewatched everything up from the original show up until now. I'm on Power Rangers in Space, which I still have to put up my Power Rangers Turbo review, but there's been a lot of comic stuff coming out, so I haven't been able to do that yet because now I'm doing the comic book episodes. But next episode should be my Power Rangers Turbo review, because I don't think we get the next issue of Mighty Morphin for a couple weeks. So, but here we're going to talk about these three things. Normally, we don't have much Power Rangers news to talk about, but this came out about a week ago, I believe. We knew Hasbro was going to be doing the new toys for Power Rangers, which I'm excited about. Hasbro makes some great stuff. They make the Marvel toys, which are amazing. The Marvel Legend figures, I have a few up there. Those are great. And don't get me wrong, I love the Power Ranger toys that we have now, the Legacy figures, or should I say, yeah, the Legacy figures. Those are great, but I'm curious to see what Hasbro's going to do with the toys. Anyways, Hasbro didn't just buy the toys or get the rights to make the toys. They bought Power Rangers and other properties that Saban owned, but the big one being Power Rangers. Crazy. Now, obviously, this is going to play huge into the toy aspect and create some great toy opportunities for us as Power Ranger fans. I'm a collector of the Legacy figures. And speaking of that, in a few months, in August, I'm going to Power Morphicon, my first time ever going. I'm so excited. And I pre-ordered the Lord Drakon Legacy figure. It's $50 if you pre-order it, and I can only imagine how much it's going to be afterwards. So I'm so excited about that. But that might be the last Legacy figure that we ever get, because Hasbro is going to be making Power Rangers toys. Love the Legacy figures, but I'm excited about what Hasbro is going to make. Now, what does this mean past the toys? What does this mean for TV, for movies, for video games? Now, we didn't get exactly specifics, but this is what Hasbro, a representative of Hasbro, had to say. And excuse me, I'm going to be reading this off my phone. But they said, Power Rangers is an iconic brand built on a heritage of great storytelling and merchandising with tremendous upside potential when fully executed across Hasbro's brand blueprint. Shortly after entering into our licensing agreement, it became clear that now was the time to begin investing in unlocking Power Rangers' full potential. We see significant opportunity for Power Rangers across our entire brand blueprint, including toys and games, consumer products, digital gaming and entertainment, as well as geographically throughout our global retail footprint. And that was said by Hasbro Chairman and CEO Brian Goldner. Now, he didn't mention anything about movies, but he did say their brand blueprint and entertainment. Hasbro is behind the Transformers films, so there is a possibility that Hasbro is going to make Power Rangers films. This is good and this is bad, depending on who you ask. For me, I love the 2017 Power Rangers film. It's not great, but it's a good movie, and I love it because I'm a Power Rangers fan and I appreciate it for what it was. And I heard one YouTuber one time say that it's not a good movie, but it's a good Power Rangers movie. I would actually reverse those statements. I think that's kind of ignorant to say, in my opinion. I think it's a good, really good teen coming-of-age drama built in a superhero background, but I don't think it's the best Power Rangers movie it could have been. It almost strayed too much away from Power Rangers and tried to be too serious. And I love that movie. I love what they did with those characters and how they handled it. I have big issues with the movie as well. It's not even close to perfect. I wouldn't even call it a great movie. It's good. I just personally respect it and enjoy it and appreciate it for what it is. But this Hasbro deal probably means that we're not getting a sequel to that movie for sure. I'm considering this them putting the nail in the coffin in that, because why would Hasbro continue off that? And that's very unfortunate, because that cast overall was incredible. Dr. Montgomery is a fantastic actor, and his popularity is higher than ever with his Stranger Things appearance. And the rest of the cast was really, really good. And part of me, I think that you could have, from the good things that were built in that movie, and you already got the hard work out of the way, establishing these characters. Now you can just go. And can Hasbro do that with this cast? Maybe. I think that'd be great. But that's what I would personally want to see. And I would like them to do a little bit of retconning with certain things like the Goldar character, but whatever. Anyways, what's more likely going to happen is Hasbro is going to wait a while, let people forget about this movie, figure out a way to, why didn't people go to watch this movie in theaters? And then figure out a way to make a movie where it's going to have mass appeal. That's probably going to require more budget, but I think more budget would have led to more success with this movie, honestly. Anyways, I'm expecting a Power Rangers reboot in the next 5 years, film-wise. And I could talk about what I want to see. Maybe I'll make a separate video what I want to see from a Hasbro Power Rangers film. We'll talk about that later. TV-wise, is Beast Morpher still going to be the next season in 2019? That's interesting. I don't know. We'll have to see about that. I'm trying to get caught up all the way on Power Rangers by the time the next series or Beast Morphers, whatever it's going to be, premieres. So that way I can review the show in real time. That's my plan. So we'll see what happens with that. But what I think is going to happen is I think Hasbro is going to take a serious... Excuse me. I'm not saying the shows aren't serious. But there's always been a cheesy element to the TV shows, and they're very low budget. You can't deny that. So I think Hasbro is going to figure out a way to make a Power Rangers TV show that is more serious, more mature, higher budget. I think it's going to end up on a Netflix or an Amazon or something like that, or like some higher end. I don't think it's going to be on like CBS, or ABC, whatever. Obviously not ABC because it's Disney, but you know what I'm saying. Like, it's not going to be on a network television. It's going to be Hulu, Amazon, whatever the case may be. So I could see that happening. And whether they have that going on with the movie universe, maybe they do both and it's like a connected universe. There's so much possibilities. I'm excited about that. So basically, I think Hasbro can make some good decisions with this. I think Saban was maybe not making the best decisions. Like I said, great things with the movie that they made, but maybe with a couple different decision makings that could have been a success, and we could have had a sequel to that. That would have been great. Anyways, I want to know what everybody thinks. What does this mean for you that Hasbro is buying it? Are you just excited about the toy aspect? Do you think this is going to change the perception of Power Rangers and get it to being successful in film and like a higher profile television show where not only kids are watching it, but like people are talking about it, like, damn, this is a good sci-fi show on Netflix or whatever it is? Let me know in the comment section, what do you want to see and what do you think we're going to see? Alright, now let's jump into the comics. This has been a long time coming. I've been putting this off because I've been studying for school finals. But Go-Go Power Rangers number 9, issue with the Ranger Slayer. Man, ever since I saw this Ranger Slayer, well, she's not, but this is the cover. Obviously, you can barely see her. But I love the look of this Ranger Slayer. The suit, how it's slightly different from the Pink Ranger, and the cape, that ripped cape. Love it. And Kimberly's weapon, the bow and arrow, is my favorite Power Ranger weapon from the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I don't know. I just think it's really cool. I don't know. And she would always, like, do serious damage with her bow and arrow. Like, there was multiple times in the original series where the Rangers were losing the fight and Kimberly was able to, you know, help win because of her bow and arrows. So I always loved her weapon. So just all these elements combined, I love it. And spoilers, we did find out it is an alternate reality Kimberly. So that was awesome. So at the beginning of this issue, you had the Ranger Slayer, aka alternate version Kimberly, in the Lord's Drakon dimension, in his reality. That's interesting because at the beginning of this issue, you see, I think it's Bulk and then their old teacher, little callback to the TV series, and I think it's her, it's Ranger Slayer, but it looks like she's good. She's fighting Lord Drakon's officers. So she was good, and then she ended up, we don't know, did she get recruited by Lord Drakon? Did he turn her? That was a little tease at the beginning of that. I think we're going to end up finding out how she became to work for Lord Drakon and hunt down Rangers and stuff like that. So we'll find that out, but that was just really interesting to me. Then we jump back to current day in the real reality, and the Rangers are dealing with the loss. Not that Matt died, but they lost Matt as a friend as of a result of what happened with him, with being kidnapped by Rita with the putty. And we saw him in his closet, like, frizzled up in the previous issues. And now, like, he doesn't talk to anybody. None of the Rangers can get a hold of him. I think that's really cool because it makes sense. And, again, it goes to show how these comic book writers are treating these Rangers like real characters. And, honestly, like, Matt's character is a real reaction to what went on. Who wouldn't be traumatized after those events? So I think that was great, and I think it's great that, like, the Rangers are just suffering from not being able to talk to him, and they feel for their friend and they want to help him. So that was some of that down to earth realism. Before we jump into the action and we see the Ranger Slayer attack, I think it's Goldar's attacking Angel Go, but then the Ranger Slayer, it was like a distraction for the Ranger Slayer to show up. Oh no, it wasn't. The Ranger Slayer, Rita sent Goldar on them because they sent someone else coming into the dimension, and then Ranger Slayer shows up and she kind of whoops the Power Rangers' butt, and then we get that interaction between Kimberly and Kimberly. Now this is interesting because I've been talking about how we've seen multiple Tommies interact from different realities. I think there's a possibility that Gold Ranger Jason from Power Rangers Zeo is going to come into the fold somehow to help them defeat Lord Drakon. I keep saying Lord Drakon. I'm probably always going to say Lord Drakon because that's how I always thought it was pronounced, but it's Lord Draken. Because that's, I think I heard David Jason Frank pronounce it that way, so I'm pretty sure that's how it's pronounced. But, yeah, I think we're going to get Gold Ranger Jason interacting with this Jason, and eventually that's going to, you know, lead to them interacting. Obviously, what I just said. And, this is just a hint maybe towards that, because until recently, I never thought, like, oh, we could see other Rangers from other eras interacting with themselves. And there's not too many that can do that. Jason can do it. Billy could do it. But we know that, you know, Trini and Zach, well, actually, we don't know in this comic history, but the comic history is pretty accurate with the TV history. And we know Trini and Zach weren't Rangers past Mighty Morphin. And neither was Kimberly, but she, I don't know, maybe we'll see what happens, because you could always have them interacting from a Ranger from another reality, which actually Ranger Slayer is. So either way, but I think we're going to see Gold Ranger Jason, and we saw the Pink Rangers interacting, and that was great. I loved when Kimberly makes a joke and Ranger Slayer's like, ha, I used to be like you making jokes, and then Kimberly's like, oh yeah, it was a perfect distraction. And that was great because Kimberly would always make jokes when they were fighting in the original TV show. She would always, like, make fun of the monsters and their fashion sense, and it brought me back to that little era. And then after the fight, we see Jason at home, and he starts arguing with his dad. And you know how I was just talking about the Power Rangers movie from 2017? I think this was somewhat a callback to that, because you see Jason open the fridge, and that's what he opens the fridge in the movie, and then we see that kind of like the dad relationship from the movie in these comics. And him and his dad's relationship in the movie was one of the best things about that movie, one of the most real things about that movie. So that was really cool. I don't know if it was a callback to that, but for me it reminded me of it, and I thought that was really cool. And then we get the end of this issue we get the Ranger Slayer interacting with Rita. Rita shows up. Ranger Slayer's like, who's that? Love that. And then, of course, Ranger Slayer has a Zord because they got to fight in the Zords, right? So, overall, I really like this issue. Love the introduction of Ranger Slayer. She looks great. Man, how I would love a Ranger Slayer action figure. I know maybe the toy company can make one last legacy figure of Ranger Slayer. I would absolutely love that. Yeah, I'm digging this so far. It wasn't amazing, but it was really, really, really good, and I did enjoy this issue a lot. All right, now on to something that I might consider amazing is the free comic book day issue from Boom Comics tying into Shattered Grid. I feel sorry for you if you didn't get a chance to get this, because you know what sucks? I don't think you can buy this. I don't even think you can go on Comixology and pay to read it, because this is great. This could have been an issue of Shattered Grid and I would have been so happy with it. Like, this was amazing. I loved it, and I'm so glad, because I go to A1 Comics in Sacramento, and every comic book store has savers, right? But if I have a Power Rangers or a Harley Quinn in my saver, they give me all the tie-ins in my saver, and I could decide whether I want to get it or not. Like, sometimes there's so much Harley Quinn stuff coming out, and I don't always buy everything, but they still put it in my saver in case I do want it. So they put this in my saver because I collect all the Power Ranger comics that come out. I'm so glad I got it because it's so good. One thing, it just opens up with Lord Draken defeating the Samurai Rangers, and that was just showing up. Draken's still doing his thing, still defeating Rangers here and there. We did see in the annual that he wasn't able to beat the SPD team. Like, he gave them a run for their money, but he didn't beat them. So he's not beating every team that he comes into contact with, which is a good thing, because you don't want him to be too invincible, you know, because then what's the point? He's just going to beat everybody and it's no fun. But that was cool but I think he did take their powers, but they were able to fight him off, which was really cool. Anyways, he defeats the Samurai Rangers in here, just the first page, boom. And then we see Zordon and Alpha interacting, and Zordon's like, shoot. I almost said a curse word, but, you know, YouTube would have flagged the video. Or not let me promote the video with the curse words in it. So Zordon is like, damn, I don't think we're going to be able to defeat this Lord Draken. I think everything's in jeopardy. I need to go talk to what are called the emissaries, I suppose. Now, the emissaries are like these all-being rangers, all-time ranger beings. I don't know what they are, but you know what they probably are a copy of? Not a copy of, borrowing elements from other things to influence your ideas. Everybody does that. So I think these emissaries are just like the Watchers in the Marvel Comics. If you read, like, let's say the Infinity Gauntlet storyline, and the Watcher is just there observing what's going on. They can't jump in unless for some, I forgot what it is, unless it's like goes against the nature of reality or something like that. That's what I think these emissaries are. So Zordon goes to these, he requests an audience, which basically he requests a meeting with them. But in doing this, he sacrifices his chance to become an emissary in the future. So by requesting an audience and speaking to the emissaries, he now eliminates his possibility of becoming an emissary, but he sacrificed that because he thought it was this dire in order to speak with these emissaries. I thought this idea was great, and I love seeing Zordon full body floating. There was an issue where I think it was of Mighty Morphin, where he's like floating through time and he's seeing all these different things, and he full bodied, and it's really cool. Like, I love the look of his full body image, and I was just floating. I don't think it's space, but it's some like dimension or whatever. Speaking to the emissaries, and the emissaries are like, I think it's the red, the blue, the yellow, and they're constantly changing costumes into different eras of Rangers. I thought that was cool. I don't know if these are real life beings, they're just entities or whatever they are, but they did remind me of the Watchers from the Marvel Comics, and it did make a lot of sense. So Zordon's basically like, shoot, you guys got to do something, and they're saying they can't step in and do anything about it. So that was really kind of, it was cool, but it's kind of like, damn, is there really no hope? Like, not even these highest of all beings can step in and do something about it. But in Zordon going to talk to them, he told the Power Rangers origin story. He told Tommy's origin story, like the regular Tommy in the regular reality. Then he told a little bit of Lord Draken's origin a little bit to the emissaries. And if you if you just want to jump in and start reading these comics, or you don't know much about Power Rangers or whatever, and you want to just get a quick, all right, I need to know how the Rangers came together. I need to know what real Tommy's, how he came into play with the team and what happened with that. And I need to know what Lord Draken's start is. If you kind of want to just get a little, summary of all that, and so then you can jump into Shattered Grid, and that way you don't have to read issue number 1 of Mighty Morphin, and you just want to get this and then start reading Shattered Grid. And I don't know if this is available or not. If you could find it somewhere online, I don't know. It's free, so if you can find it somewhere online, try to read it, because it gives you all the information you need to know. And yes, if you want to know more in depth, you can go back and read all the issues. But if you just want to jump in, I definitely recommend picking up this free Comic Book Day comic. And then you can go somehow find an issue number 25 of Shattered Grid and then go from there. And I think you'll be pretty good. You could always buy the issues on Comixology. I don't know about this free Comic Book Day one, but all the other issues, you can pay to read them. If you just want to read them, if you're dying to read them and you can't find every issue and you're a collector, that sucks, but at least you can read them online, and you can pay for them on Comixology. But this is so great because not only is it just great overall, but it's great in telling these origin stories. So it was really cool seeing the Rangers coming together. Even though I already know the story, it was cool seeing the Tommy origin. But something new we got is that Lord Draken, in his reality, we knew that he worked with Rita. This is, in that reality, Tommy stayed bad, helped Rita conquer Earth, and after they conquered Earth, in this issue, we find out he kills Rita. And there's a great line in this issue, like maybe my favorite scene in all of the Power Rangers comics so far, because this Shattered Grid event has been incredible, and this little dialogue between Draken and Rita is great. He says, "You know why Zordon chose teenagers for Rangers? Because he wanted someone he can influence, someone who's not going to challenge him or argue it." I'm paraphrasing. I'm not saying it word for word. And he says, sometimes we got to grow up and become our own person and do it on our own. That's not exactly what he said, but he says something like that. And then basically referring to Rita as his mentor, as his parent figure, and helping him, conquer Earth and become evil. And then he kills her. That was incredible. Like, such good storytelling. And I'm so surprised that this is the free Comic Book Day issue. Maybe this was so good to get other people to read the comics, but this was incredible. I loved it. And I know, like, I'm biased because I'm just a Power Rangers fan and I sound like, oh my goodness, I'm freaking out. But it was that good. Like I said, the Go-Go number 9 was pretty good. I liked it a lot, but this was great. And I highly recommend finding somehow to read it. I'm sure it's online for free somewhere. It has to be, because I think this is essential to the overall Shattered Grid storyline. So I doubt Boom Comics would make it to where, oh, but if you didn't get it at the comic book store for free, then there's no way for you to read it. I hope that's not the case, because I want everybody to go be able to read this, because it's such amazing and it's so essential to the storyline, like I said. All right, well, I want to know what everybody thinks. I want to know what you thought of Go-Go Power Rangers number 9. Did you like it? Did you like the introduction of Ranger Slayer? What did you like going on the side in there? Let me know in the comment section. Also, did you get a chance to get this free comic book from Boom Comics? I want to know what people think. Did you like it as much as I am? Am I overreacting? Is it not as good as I think it is? Let me know. Or did you really like it? Do you like it as much as I do? I want to know in the comment section. Thank you all, everybody, for watching this episode of Off the Grid, a Power Rangers podcast. Again, I am your host, Jacob Bartley. I run this YouTube channel, Comic Hero Talk. Subscribe. We're getting ready to launch a few other shows, few other ongoing, comic reviews and stuff like that. But to be real with you, I've been talking about putting other videos out for since I've been doing this Power Rangers podcast. But to be real with you, I'm a college student, and like I had to dedicate so much time to pass my stats class. If you're not a math person and if you had to take stats to transfer from a community college, you know what I'm talking about. I've been dedicating like 5 hours a day, a few days a week to like doing stats homework and studying for stats. So finals are next week. Wish me luck. That's what I've been doing, but I wanted to keep up with this Power Rangers podcast because I'm so passionate about it. But I'm going to be doing other things with this Comic Hero Talk YouTube channel. So subscribe if you like comics, superheroes, superhero TV, superhero movies. We're going to be doing a little bit more stuff here. So look out for that. Again, I am Jacob Bartley. Thank you all for watching. Until next time, may the power protect you.